So this is the Ring of Fire panel. We have Roy Spence from Webequie. He's a former council member, former everything. The guy's done everything in Webequie, and currently he's part of the lead team in the Ring of Fire with Gordon Wabas around everything Ring of Fire, basically, in all its manifold dimensions. Then we have, as you know, the CEO, Kristan from Wyloo, and then we have the Minister here of Mines. So I really do appreciate you guys making time today. So I'm just going to get right into it. So I'm going to ask the question. I'll give each of you guys a chance to answer here. So it's been 17 years. 17 years. Where were you guys 17 years ago? There you go. So 17 years since the mineral discovery in the Ring of Fire area. Many here in the audience have attended conferences such as this one, hearing about the Ring of Fire plans, activities, and aspirations. So the first question for the panelists here, it'd be good, I guess, to hear from each one of you, what is happening today, or what is different today, to give a sense to the people here in the audience that progress is being made. So you want to go first, Roy?
Bonjour, good morning. Miigwech all minaguk. Oega shigagwedech. Here weshkadaji we unjanokadik 17 years ago. Takes too long. To me anyway. My question is, we made the progress today. We are negotiating with Ontario for the road development in the Ring of Fire region. So we are doing the ES, environmental assessments. So it's in the works. We have gone to this far, and we're struggling, and we have to move on. The way I look at things in life, the younger generations and the future generation, they say they want to have opportunities. We heard the words, beautiful words from the government, and this is about prosperity. And the Genjamin said, our grandfathers and grandmothers taught us we had to go to work, we had to work every day until you cannot move. That's the way, that's where I come from. I hunt and trap and fish, gather, and back in 2010, in January, we went to Ring of Fire camps, the exploration camps there, with a lake called the Esker camp. Yeah, we did a blockade because we want to be part of the process. We addressed the priorities. Our Aboriginal Treaty addressed on lands and resources to be addressed in the government agenda. So we have to benefit right from the start, not later. As I heard, I said that my friend here, Jason, the people have expectations when people go out there. Come and talk to chat our leadership and sit down. How you want to go about it? If you want to have an exploration program, we know that the exploration programs could take years, take a long time. And once we work with the formerly Noron or Cliffs or Wyloo, their names changed so many times. And the people say that, oh, it's a Wyloo guy. Who's that guy? And the women and the ladies out there and the youth, they're smart. They ask tough questions. And they say, where's my money? Your money is being utilized in Canada and Ontario. The minerals are our resources. That's the truth. So along the way, right now, we have to reconcile whatever we off tracks, anything, we missed something in the past. 100 years ago, 150 years ago, we got to bring back the benefits to the community, right to the community. Our priorities are housing, social issues, and infrastructure, good roads, and good airports. And the government people need to, all the government ministries has to come and sit down with our leadership. There's a delay there. Sometimes we don't get a response on time, and they need to come to our table. We operate as a government-to-government basis. That's what they want in the first place in that treaty. We all the treaty holders and the governance of the nation. Miigwech. I got to run from here right to the plane to catch my flight. I'm sorry about that. I could have spent time with you here for days and days and years and years. Miigwech. Good luck.
Kristan?
Thanks, Roy. Always appreciate the great feedback that Roy provides. One of the things that I think Roy alluded to that's changed is the engagement and very much a First Nations forward approach in ensuring that we're actively working with the First Nations within the region. What historically hasn't worked, and we inform what we do by what hasn't worked in the consultation that we have with the First Nations, what hasn't worked is forming agreements with other parties that don't include the First Nations, whether that's for road development, whether that's for mineral development, whether that's for permits. So that is something that we've learned through the past mistakes that have made, either with past governments or past companies. Roy had mentioned Cliffs, and that was quite clear as to where that had led through in previously. The other part is, I firmly believe, is the willingness to put the first foot forward in the engagement for the economic development in the region. It's not done to or not done in isolation with the First Nations, it's done in collaboration with. And I think those are the two key aspects that our group has really put forward. And Michael, you'd asked what's changed or what's happening right now from our side. Currently for ourselves with Wyloo, we're engaging in feasibility studies at this point in time. So it's been 12 years since the past feasibility study was done, and trying to understand what are the changes, what are the things that need to get developed, because the previous feasibility study saw a road coming across from an east-west direction over across to the Ring of Fire region and constructing a mining operation there. And there's a lot of things that have changed. So we're working actively to update that today based on the premise today that the First Nations are leading the environmental assessments, that there will be a project proponent for the roads that are being developed that potentially will be developed into the future. And we want to be ready for that opportunity and understand when those environmental assessments are submitted, when the permits are ready, and when construction ultimately begins, and ensure that we have up-to-date studies to be able to conduct our activities in concert with that on a sequential basis. So,
Thanks for the question. Thanks for the question, Mike. Where was I 17 years ago? Let's start that. I was in the Royal York Hotel when Dick Nana marched in the Imperial Room, I think it was, and with the Johnny Cash song blaring, The Ring of Fire, we fell in the Ring of Fire. And so it started with quite a bit of hype about the area. I think shortly after that, I think the discoveries that were made are still of the same size. The project certainly got stalled for a number of years for a lot of different reasons. And it was kickstarted actually by the Premier. And he simply said, and I've said this before, and why is mining booming in northwestern Ontario right now? Because the Premier bet $1 billion on mining in northwestern Ontario, and it was a bet. Kristan, you'll be the first one to recognize the fact that it's an isolated area, a lot of hurdles. I'm not sure that any individual corporation would have handled that on their own without the participation in the government. And the Premier believed in it. So he bet $1 billion on broadband and building capacities. Where are we now? What's changed? Well, we signed a historical agreement with Webequie and Martin Falls at PDEC. And where's the money? Well, it's flowing. It's flowing to those communities. Where the check is not in the mail, it's in the hands of the First Nations communities. And that's what this is all about. What are we doing within the ministry? We're approaching the various aspects within the environmental assessment process, and they're being led by Webequie and Martin Falls, fully understood. They're led by the First Nations communities, and that's the way it should be, in participation and help with the ministry to ensure that we're breaking our responsibilities to break down the silos. So that in fact, and you want to talk about progress. Ray saw me just a few minutes ago saying, and his question was the famous, I mean, it's the question every proponent hears from the ministry. Where are my permits? That's progress.
Thank you. So I have a specific question for each one of you guys. Roy, what are the priorities for your community as it relates to the Ring of Fire, if you want to expand on that?
회가시가 거좀 시대거는 가가니가는 다 큰다는 게 아버지 통하게군 게 맞저하게 게는 아버지 통. We have priorities in the community that are identified and forwarded by our members, youth, elders, and women. And our leadership represents everybody. As folks for everybody. As a former council member here, we did our homework years ago, and those priorities. The problem is when you deal with the government, they always give you something to block you. You only allow 1, 2, 3 priorities. So we have about the 10 priorities right now. Community infrastructure, a new hockey arena, a new nursing station, a new complex office, a new school, a new airport, new roads, new winter road, and remote camps where we can deal with mental health issues and problems. We need the accommodations for visitors. We need a new store. We need everything so expensive these days. I wonder if we can build a line from Thunder Bay to a big line to Webequie so we can haul any electronic system. We don't have to pay the freight cost. Shipping maybe air balloon or something. We can't afford anything back home. Gasoline is about $4.29. Our leadership, our committee have a priority list. Anyone have a leftover or sitting around 100 million, 150 million? I need that today. Me good. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Roy. Can't get any more clearer than that. Kristan, you have been in your role as CEO for a while now. What have you learned about the First Nations concerns and issues for the proposed underground mine, and how is your team proposing to mitigate those concerns and issues?
It's a great question. I think the first thing that I've learned is that the relationships established with the prior team, prior to myself joining, were very strong relationships with both communities. I've learned that over that period of time, even when we have difficult discussions and challenge that we face, the relationships that were built behind by the team members that are here with our group carry through those and enable those difficult discussions. So when we have this discussion, like Roy had mentioned, about what are the priorities in Webequie, we can hear those and understand those and potentially work to address those into the future, either through, is that structured through what are the opportunities the community creates so that community members can benefit and community members can participate in the project. So that's one of the key things that I learned about what the historical aspect is. The other aspect would be really the business development opportunities, Michael. In many other parts of the industries, procurement becomes a small portion that's negotiated in an IBA. And in the approach that we've taken in the discussion with the communities is to say, look, there are more than 20 business opportunities that are on the table through here. And the team has worked diligently and presented that to the communities at the first Indigenous Business Forum that we'd held. And I think that's a real opportunity and an eye-opener. What I've also learned is that in order to do that, we need to have the right business partners and the right people that can create the trusting relationships between ourselves and with our First Nation partners to be able to make that a go. So it's not simply just enough to have an idea in a paper or something we can put on a PowerPoint presentation and display it, but also to be able to have people who have formed genuine partnerships in the past and can bring that same approach and adapt that approach to the current communities that are there. So those are the things that our teams are working on today and work on a daily basis. Again, when I look at the number of individuals that we have within our organization, that their role and their dedication is to advancing the discussion with our First Nation partners, I think that differential that we've put into and the resources that we've put in there differentiates us from other companies.
Excellent. Yeah, I think I did see, I don't know if he's here, Glenn Nolan. I think I saw him come in.
Yeah, he's straight in the back.
Yeah, he's one of the original team members from the beginning, so it's good to see him still on board. Minister, what is Ontario doing to facilitate the Ring of Fire developments?
Well, I'll just comment on the point that Ray made about IT infrastructure. Yeah, that's part of that $1 billion. That broadband that's being brought into the communities, that is happening right now as they build that, and it's being built by the First Nations communities. We are working, and again, the EAs are directly the responsibility of the First Nations communities. We are working with the proponents to ensure that our bureaucracy gets out of the way. When and wasn't flippant when I said to Ray when he said, well, where are the permits? These were permits that were held back by the MNR. I don't know exactly why, but in conversations with the gentleman right at the back, he said, yeah, they're being taken care of this afternoon. So yeah, we want to get out of the way of the First Nations communities as they develop these roads and conduct EAs. One of the things, of course, that right off the bat that I have to acknowledge is the leadership of the Indigenous communities. And quite frankly, what they want from their communities, as they've said to me, is the same thing that every single member of this audience, and quite frankly, every parent wants, which is a better life for their kids than they have. It's the same objectives across the table. So working together to facilitate that overarching agreement is exactly what we want. This was a long time coming. It's interesting, and when I was with Placer Dome, of course, we built the Musselwhite line. We built the road and we built the power line. It's on the same latitude as the Ring of Fire. It's directly west, as a matter of fact, and directly east is the Fipke's diamond mines, and with De Beers, and then directly across to Attawapiskat. Now, the point is this: there's power lines to Attawapiskat, and there's power to Musselwhite. It shouldn't be a struggle to get power into the Ring of Fire or the northwestern communities. It shouldn't be. How do we get it? How do we facilitate that? Well, we pursue those solutions.
Thank you.